is as good as it gets, good as it gets.
Welcome in.
Let's get to work.
The fastest growing sports spectacular. It's the Big E Sports Show. Your 1 hour comprehensive expose of all things in the sports universe. With a focus on some of the biggest sports icons on the planet. Now, here's your host, the one and only award-winning Elissa Walker Campbell.
Hey, Elissa Walker Campbell, welcome back to the Big E Sports Show. And last weekend in Norman, NBA veteran Buddy Hield's jersey was lifted to the rafters at the Lloyd Noble Center, a celebration of one of the greatest players in Oklahoma men's basketball history. And now we're going to turn to the man who was there and who has covered Oklahoma athletics for decades. And that is CBS Sports Radio, Oklahoma City's very own James Hale. Hi, Jay. It's good to have you on with us this weekend.
E, how you doing, man? And I know you were at the women's game celebrating the OU women and what they've done. And, of course, when you were there, you put up a stand that saved women's basketball at OU. Now, would they have brought it back eventually? Sure. OU's not going to go without a women's basketball team, probably. But at that time, we were doing dumb things when it comes to women and their rights and things like that, and totally ridiculous things. And this was a terrible move by Donnie Duncan, the AD at the time. And you stood your ground along with your teammates. And you guys allowed me to cover that. And I was right there with you. And when Pat Summitt and the other girls come through, I don't know how much you've talked about this on your show. Yeah. You ought to bring it up. It's part of history. And I know that, you know, we're trying to throw away history in some cases in this country. But we should never throw it away because history helps us learn and move forward. So it was great to see you being back, and I think sometimes they need you on that team to throw those elbows. But you know, it was great. You know, so that was great to see you, and it was great to be at Buddy's deal. Buddy is a cool dude, a cool guy. He was a cool guy at OU. He's always very polite to me. You don't know how many times I went down just to watch practice, and maybe Buddy was there, and he was shooting, and I would rebound for Buddy. Now, E, I can stand underneath the basket and pull him out of the net as much as anybody, right? And every once in a while he'd miss, and he'd be mad because he'd make me run after the ball. And I'd go, don't be mad. I can work out a little bit. It's no big deal, of course. You know, he's probably looking at this fat guy going, this guy never runs. And, you know, so, you know, but I mean, I love Buddy Hield. And, you know, when he walked into the media room, he looked at me and said, man, you're still covering OU, man?
Did he?
And
okay.
Oh, yeah, it was really cool. And he acknowledged me and everything. And, you know, we talked a little bit, but he was really humble. And he talked about how OU has made him into what he is. And OU did. I mean, you know, when he came to OU, he was from Sunrise Christian Academy from the Bahamas. And, you know, when you're growing up and you're shooting, you know, on a man-made goal and you're shooting off dirt, and that's your goal and that's your playground. And then you finally get to a sophisticated gym that's a real gym. You got to change your, you know, perception a little bit. I mean, it's a different deal. But when you learn about the story of Buddy Hield, that's something that everybody ought to read and be fabulous with and be fantastic with because it's unique. Not many guys have done it this way, man. And he made himself into a first-round draft choice, the sixth pick in the NBA draft. He's made over $122 million in his career, and he's going to get another contract. He could play another 5, 6, 7, 8 years. He's a three-point shooting marksman. He's kind of a backup, gunslinger off the bench. And, you know, he's going to have a great career, but he's never going to forget about OU. He comes back every year and works out with the guys a couple of days. And he calls Porter Moser all the time. Now, you ask him about Porter Moser and OU, he's going to tell you he's the basketball coach to get OU going again. And, you know, Buddy is one of those guys that believes that. But his coach is Lon Kruger. And nobody's better than Lon Kruger. He's the classiest dude I've ever been around. And remember, at Kansas State, Lon was a guy that was four-sport guy. He could have played pro sports in 4 different sports. And, so he comes to OU, and he's fit as a fiddle, man. This guy could still play. I got a feeling. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
And, he was very polite to everybody. And, of course, he's always been great with the media. And we always love talking with Lon Kruger. And he said so many great things about Buddy. But he said that Buddy's greatest story is that it's just not going to happen anymore. You're not going to have guys that stay for 4 years, and when they have a chance to go to the NBA, decide to come back and bet on themselves, that they'll go from just an NBA selection in the first round to a lottery pick in the first round. And he goes, but Buddy did. And then all those guys did too. Isaiah Cousins, Ryan Spangler, Latif, all those guys came back with him. And, and so that's a really cool thing. And, Buddy that was a cool thing. I'm glad I was there. I'm glad I'm still covering OU. I'm glad guys like Buddy are so cool. They recognize that. And, it makes this old man proud, man, that a guy like Buddy Hield is still rocking and rolling.
Yeah. You mentioned Buddy Hield's former coach, Lon Kruger, and he's on the show this weekend. And we were just talking about when he first arrived in Norman from the Bahamas. He was talented, but he was still developing. And just kind of in your words, in your mind, how would you describe just that transformation that took place?
With Buddy?
Yes.
Well, I mean, it was, when Buddy got here, now he was a fairly celebrated recruit. He was a 4-star recruit out of Sunrise Christian Academy, which at that time was an academy that was turning out 3 to 4 players every year, the programs. Coach Crutchfield, Chris Crutchfield, recruited him and almost lived in Wichita Falls, Kansas. Now there's a great restaurant in Wichita Falls called Scott's and Sirloin. I told him about it.
Okay.
During the time. Supposedly this restaurant is owned by the mafia. I don't know if it really is or not. But it's a great steak place, chops, things like that. And, it's going to cost you $100 a dinner plate, but, at lunchtime you can get in there for about $50. So anyway, I'm not going through Kansas and not stopping in Wichita Falls. So anyway, you go recruit a kid out of there and his background and you realize he's a little bit raw for a 4-star, but they had him rated that way for a reason because of his athleticism and everything. But then you talk to his mom, and you talk to his grandmother, and you talk to his relatives. They're all so sweet, cool, dedicated, life people. Just, they believe in the Lord. They believe in everything that's good about everything, right? And this kid's going to come and play basketball to try to give the family a little better life, whatever that is. So, when he comes in, and he's a pretty good player as a freshman, right? He puts his stamp on the team, and he's a starter. And as a sophomore, he got better. And as a junior, he got a lot better. He could have gone pro as a junior, but he decided to come back because Lon Kruger told him, he goes, I'll make you into a lottery pick. And Lon Kruger and Buddy worked out every day. Every day.
Wow.
Lon Kruger is playing Buddy Hield one-on-one every day, or he's doing drills with him every day. Because it helps if you have somebody else to do shooting drills with, and then, Buddy would, box out Lon to rebound, and he became a better player while he was there that year. And so his ascension was through hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, and he just became a lot better player.
Yeah.
While he was at OU, he became the best player in the country. Do you remember his game against Kansas on the road at Kansas?
Yeah, he always played well at Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah, he always did. And, he had a game for the ages in that game.
Yeah.
And, and so he thought he won the game in regulation. It turned out he didn't. They said that the shot didn't get off at time, but he almost won it in 2 overtimes. But according to Bill Self, he's the only player that got a standing ovation, after the game from the Kansas faithful. And that's pretty cool. Only opposing player.
Yeah. Hey, James Hale with us this weekend on the Big E Sports Show. We are celebrating Buddy Hield And you had mentioned how rare it is to see a player in today's men's basketball, in basketball overall, to stay at one university for 4 years. And so, James, just weigh in on how much that shift has changed the way programs build culture and build continuity.
Well, it's the reason why Porter Moser is struggling so much at OU, because it changed on him the year he came to OU 5 years ago. 5 years ago, this became an NIL sport. And instead of kids staying at a program for a year or two or three and developing within that coaching staff, before that, kids were coming to schools because they wanted to get better and possibly become NBA players. And so if you believed in your coaching staff, then you would go to a school and you would become a better player. Well, that changed on Porter overnight, his first year at OU. And the first team that he put together, 8 or 9 guys left, and he had to recruit 8 or 9 guys in the first year. Well, the first year, they don't make the tournament. The second year, he's caught off guard by all this. His staff was caught off guard. OU was caught off guard. They didn't have any money for NIL money. And, they took him a couple of years to get adjusted. But think about it. He recruits Otega Owe and Milos Uzon, both 3 stars or small, low 4-star players. But it's a big deal. OU gets both players. Milos out of Vegas, Otega's out of Illinois, I think, somewhere. And you get both those players. You start them as freshmen, which hurts you, right? I mean, you're going to start them as freshmen. You got this team around them, and they all leave. And after 2 years, Milos goes to Houston. Otega goes to Kentucky, not because they didn't like Porter Moser, not because they didn't like OU, not because they didn't want to leave a legacy. It's because they both got $500,000 to go.
Wow.
And, and Otega's brother's playing pro football, so I don't know if he's hurting for money or not, but he's making his own money now, right? And he's going to go play at Kentucky. It's that kind of deal. And it's been tough for Portal. It's been more tough for OU to get in the groove, because you got to come up with NIL money. And if Porter is having to try to find an NIL money and trying to call people for NIL money, he's not coaching the team. He's not recruiting, right? You can't do both. And finally, last year, OU came up with some NIL money, and Porter actually recruited the best class he's had. It just hasn't worked out this year, but this is a winning team. And thus, everybody's talking about Porter's future at OU. But OU has a new AD that has built a basketball program at Indiana, or Illinois, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I don't know if this is going to be the last year for Porter Moser or not. If I'm the AD, I realize I have a pretty good basketball coach. And if I give him some resources, I might have a really good basketball coach. And so I don't know. I think Porter's really good. Every time a coach comes in that beats Porter Moser, I can tell he's wiping the sweat off his brow, and he says to himself, man, we just beat a good coach and a good staff. And why this team hasn't fired all the time, I don't know. But, it's it's going to be interesting to see what, Roger Denny does at the end of the year when it comes to men's basketball.
That's right. Oklahoma does have a new athletic director coming from Illinois, and that is Roger Denny. And as he steps into this role, it is a pivotal time for the Sooners. What do you think, James, is the biggest immediate challenge on his plate?
Well, basketball will be one, but the most pivotal thing for any AD coming into college sports today is to navigate. First of all, he's got to come up with an evaluation of where OU is in this NI world of college sports, and what kind of foundation they have. As OU if they have 16 sports, how do they pay for them all? How do they support them all? How do they give the coaches the right amount of resources to win at every sport? You just can't have a sport to have a sport. You want to have a sport to win. That's what made Joe Castiglione one of the greatest ADs ever. Joe was in charge at OU for 25 years. And he always gave his coaches what he felt were the resources to go and win whatever sport they were in. Well, this is a little bit of a different era. It even changed on Joe 5 years ago. And so now it has to deal with NIL money, and you have to have coaches that have the ability to not only recruit the high school kid, but to recruit the portal. You have to have coaches that never bury leads, and you always keep your resources, going. And you have to have those opportunities continuing to go. And so that's what he has to do. He has to evaluate. Now, he comes into an athletic program that's been profitable, that's going to start getting full shares from the SEC, and that has a pretty good fan base that supports the program. What he doesn't have is that one big booster, that Boone Pickens at Oklahoma State or that Cody Campbell at Texas Tech, that can really help your program. The big money people that I know at OU right now aren't into NIL. They'll help with brick and mortar. They'll help build buildings. They'll help build structure. But the NIL game is not something like Cody Campbell is so involved with it at Tech. And so a few of these schools have guys that are just pouring millions of dollars into a program. They have millions of dollars they can do this with to help with NIL. OU doesn't really have that, but they do have a good grassroots fundraising program that allows them to be competitive in college football and should in men's basketball and women's basketball. And right now, even though NIL has entered softball, Patty Gasso is doing pretty well, and she's got a little NIL money that she works with. And Mark Williams in men's gymnastics and KJ Kindler in women's gymnastics, they're rocking and rolling in the gymnastics world. And OU is providing full scholarships for those sports. And so everybody believes they have a chance to win at OU. And Roger Denny's main thing, in my opinion, is to make sure that's true, that all his teams have a chance to be successful, and whatever that means from each sport, he's got to figure that out and then come up with the resources to make it happen.
CBS Sports Radio, James Hale. Nobody has covered Oklahoma athletics longer or with more perspective. Where can they go and connect with you on your many different platforms, Jay?
Well, I'm on Die Hard Sooner Report. I've got a podcast report that I put out every day. It's on OU football recruiting, then every other sport that is playing that day and the results from those sports. And, and recruiting in all those sports as well. For a small donation, you get all that every single day. I'm not as pretty as Z, but,
I'm holding on, Jay.
My girlfriend says I can hang in there. So anyway, so we're good. Then I'm on Perry Broadcasting with Myron Patton every day at 4:00. And so that's fun. And Myron and I have been around for a long time. And we cover the whole gambit of sports. And that's 15:30 a.m. in Oklahoma City, or Perry Broadcasting, PBBC. And just, pick that up, get the app, and you can listen to us all day.
James, always a true pleasure to have the opportunity to catch up with you. And of course, it was wonderful seeing you last weekend. Thank you for the kind words, and look forward to previewing some spring football. It's going to be here before you know it.
Hey, I look forward to it. Spring ball is going to be good. And, and I think OU is going to, they are going to have a spring game. So the spring games are coming back all across the country because of the new portal rules. And so that's going to be a good thing, man.
Have a great weekend, Jay. We'll talk soon.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.